Hi, welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video we're going to learn the 2 to 5 player game Ticket to Ride, designed by Alan R. Moon and published by Days of Wonder. Inspired by Phileas Fogg, who in 1872 traveled around the world in just 80 days, 5 friends have challenged each other to see how many different cities they can travel to in North America by train in just 7 days. You're one of those friends and $1 million is on the line. So join me at the table and let's learn how to play. To set up, have each of the players collect all of the trains and a scoring marker in one of the colors. In this video, I'll be setting up a 2-player game between green and blue, so I'll return the other player colors and markers back to the box. Also note that each player should start with 45 trains, but the game comes with an extra 3 in each color in case you ever lose a train and need to replace some. So you can return those back to the box as well. In the center of the play area, place this board, and on the score track that goes around the outside edge, have all of the players put their scoring marker onto the 100, which will also count as a 0 space for the start of the game. The cards with this back are the train cars, which you'll shuffle into a face-down deck, dealing 4 of them to each of the players. And you can always look at your own cards, but be sure to keep them a secret from the other players. Place the rest of the deck by the board and then deal 5 cards from it face up in a row like this. And nearby, also put this longest path bonus card as well. If during this setup, or at any point in the game, 3 of the 5 face-up cards are these multicolored locomotives, then all 5 cards are immediately discarded and 5 new ones are turned face-up to replace them. These are the destination tickets, which you'll shuffle into a face-down deck, dealing 3 of them to each player. The players now privately decide which 2 they want to keep, or they can choose to keep all 3. Each of these will give you a route that you're trying to complete before the end of the game, and any you fail to complete will cost you points, so you might only want to keep 2 if it seems like all 3 would be hard to finish. But either way, any card you discard is then placed on the bottom of the deck, which is then set by the board. Finally, whoever has the most experience traveling is chosen as the first player. Or you can just choose randomly. Either way, I just want to point out that to make it easier for me to move things around on this table, I'll be setting these plastic train pieces off to the side and just bringing them back into view as necessary. And that's the setup. In Ticket to Ride, players will be trying to complete routes between the various cities in order to score points. The game is played over a series of turns, starting with the first player and then going clockwise around and around the table. And on your turn, you can perform one of 3 possible actions. So let's go back to the table and I'll explain what those actions are. One option is to claim a route by playing a set of cards from your hand that match the color and number of spaces between 2 cities. For example, if I wanted to claim the route from Little Rock to New Orleans, I would have to play 3 cards showing green trains. Then I would get to place 3 of my plastic cars into those spaces. On a turn, you can only claim a single route. So even if I had 3 white train cards in my hand, I couldn't claim this route at the same time. I'd have to wait until my turn came around again later. Also note that you never have to connect your trains together. On a future turn, I could claim the route over here instead of connecting to the one that I already made. Sometimes you'll have a multicolored train in your hand which acts as a wild and can be used in place of any other card. So I could also have completed this route by playing a set like this, or even like this, or even like this. What's important to realize is that the colored spaces of the board do not have to match the colors of the train pieces that you put on them. These only indicate the types of cars that you need to play from your hand in order to claim that route. Once a route is claimed, no one else can go into those spaces, and the cards that you used are put into a discard pile beside the draw deck. Some routes are made up of gray spaces, and that means you can claim it with any set of matching colored trains and/or wilds. Either way, after a route is completed, the person who placed their train pieces now gains points based on how long the route was. This is shown on the table found at the bottom of the board. So for example, the route I claimed was 3 cars long, and that means I'd collect 4 points. But the longer the route, the more points you can collect. The game also comes with a separate scoring card that you can pass around the table to make it easier for people to see. When you gain points, show it by moving your matching marker that number of spaces around the board. You'll notice that some cities are connected by double routes, but you can still only claim one of these in a single turn. Then later, another player can claim the other route as well. Just keep in mind, the same player cannot claim both of them. That said, in a 2 or 3 player game, only one of each double route can be claimed. So as soon as one is chosen, the other can no longer be taken. So those were all of the rules for claiming a route on your turn, but instead, you might choose to draw 2 train cards, and to do that, you take any one face-up card here or draw from the top of the deck. If you take from the row, then immediately replace it with a new one from the deck. And then you draw another card again, either from the face-up cards or from the top of the deck. There is one exception. If the first card you take is a face-up multicolored train, then you do not get to take a second card. Likewise, if you claimed a regular train first, you cannot take a multicolored one as your second choice. On the other hand, if your first card taken is from the top of the deck, and it just happens to be a multicolored train, then you got lucky and you get to draw again as normal. After all, no one actually saw what you collected. During the game, you can have any number of cards in your hand. And if you would ever go to draw one and none are left in the deck, then reshuffle any discard pile into a new face-down deck and then keep drawing. On the other hand, in the very rare case that there are no cards left at all, you cannot take this action and instead must either claim a route or perform the other action, drawing a destination card, which we'll learn about right now. So for your turn, instead of drawing new train cards or claiming a route, you may draw 3 cards from the top of this destination deck. You must then keep at least one, but can keep 2 or all 3 of them if you'd like. You're also allowed to look at your other destination cards while you're making this decision, but just be sure not to mix up any old and new cards together until after you've decided which of the new ones you want to keep. You can't, for example, discard an old destination card that you already had in hand. Any new cards that you choose not to keep are then returned to the bottom of this deck. And soon we'll see why these destinations are important and why you may or may not want to keep certain ones. But I should point out that if you want to take this action, and there are less than 3 tickets available here, then just draw as many as you can. And if this deck would ever run out, then you cannot take this action anymore. After a player has chosen to perform one of the 3 possible actions, which again are either claiming a route, drawing new train cards, or drawing new destination tickets, then the next player in clockwise order will take their turn. And around you'll go like this, until at the end of a player's turn, they have 2 or fewer train cards left in their stock. Then everyone, including that player, will get 1 more turn. Then it's time to total the scores and determine the winner. Here, each player should reveal the destination tickets within their own hand and see if they completed them. To do this, the player will need to be able to draw a path of continuous train cars in their color that connects the 2 cities shown on their destination tickets. So in this case, a path from Denver to Pittsburgh. The route doesn't need to be efficient either. For example, although this is not a very straightforward way to get from Denver to Pittsburgh, the blue player has managed to connect them, so it counts. And then they'll gain the 11 points showing on their card. If you do not fully connect the destinations on your tickets, as in this case the blue player has failed to connect Kansas City and Houston, then you lose this amount of points from your total score. This is why when playing you may not keep all of the destination cards that you draw, because some of them might prove too hard to complete. After all the destination scores have been added or subtracted, check to see who has the longest continuous path on the board made up from their trains, and give them this special bonus card, which is worth an additional 10 points. If there's a tie for the longest route, the tied players each get the bonus. Keep in mind, when checking for the longest route, you must pick one continuous path of your train cars to follow. Blue's longest path takes it from Portland to Pittsburgh, but it would not count these branching train cars in that total. Now, whoever has the most points is declared the winner. And if there's a tie, then the player who completed the most destination tickets is the winner. In the rare situation where there's still a tie, then among the tied players, the one who has the longest continuous path of their train cars is the winner, even if they didn't have the longest continuous path overall, and therefore didn't get to collect the card. In the very, very, very rare case that there is still a tie, then the tied players share the victory. And that's everything you need to know to play Ticket to Ride. Now, there are several different additions and expansions for this game that will provide you with new situations, maps, and challenges, but I'll leave those for you to discover on your own. But if you have any questions about anything that you saw here, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below, and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.